fully say what I was going to say before. Part of my reasoning that I was coming up with was like, well, I've already had COVID. Do I need to get the vaccine? You know, like, do my antibodies already still exist? Like, maybe my body still already knows how to fight this. But I will admit that a lot of that reasoning, and you mentioned coming up with questions rather than looking at the facts. I was coming up with those other questions and scenarios, like maybe anything to reason why I didn't need to get it because I was afraid to get it. And I'm admitting to that now.
You know what? Like, and that's awesome, man. Like, I think more and more people are coming around to it. They said that at least 50 as of like yesterday or the day before, which would have been the 27th, because you all are hearing us like the 4th of June or 5th of June or something like that. But they had said that I think over 50% of Americans were now fully vaccinated, and it was like 40% only like a week before. So I think, it's slowed down, and now people are saying, like, I know people have gotten it, everything's okay, we're seeing the numbers go down. I'm seeing people out at sporting events, out at all these different things, having a good time. Like, I want to get vaccinated too. I think that's definitely going out. But what I found insanely interesting was how that news about Bill Gates, because Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced, as I'm sure you've heard. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's a couple weeks old news. But I couldn't help but laugh a little bit to myself, because obviously the extent that QAnon took things, like with what they think these, like, quote unquote liberal elites are doing with their cannibal baby eating parties and everything, is like absurd. But then all of a sudden, people are just starting to get vaccinated. There's these worries, the people who don't want to get vaccinated about, Bill Gates put microchips, like, in the fucking vaccine. And then it comes out like, Melinda Gates has been troubled by Bill's, like, dealings with Jeffrey Epstein since, like, 2013.
Yeah.
I think it's what came out in the news. And I laugh at the same time as putting my head in my hands of, like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is the last piece of news we needed to, like, get right at this moment.
Why did you have to do that now?
It turns out that actually maybe there's some troublesome shit going on there, and even fucking Melinda knew about it, like, 10 years ago.
It's a miracle in a bad way that this kind of thing just keeps happening, as far as, like, public events, such as the divorce of Bill and his wife, where it falls in line too perfectly.
Her name's Melinda. She's not just his wife. She's not his property. Her name is Melinda Gates.
So they are getting divorced, and it just falls too perfectly in line. With their partners. You had to do it to me.
No,
now I look like an asshole.
You were gonna do a little bit. I'm sorry I cut you off there. If we had like a side chat going, I could have like sent you like a little joke. I wanted you to start using they in every case so that nobody knew who the hell you were talking about.
So they're
doing this, but then they came back and said to them that this couldn't. I really just want. That's why I was like they.
Anyway, their wife was very concerned about their dealing with Jeffrey Epstein, which fucking who wouldn't be? But all the same, all I was trying to get at is that it is unfortunate that these trails of events have occurred in such a way that only fuels more conspiracy. Because,
exactly,
yeah, it's only perpetuating things that don't need to be perpetuated.
Well, and I think it's not too far of a reach and this is probably why it does like touch reality. Men with that kind of money and power are absolutely doing disgusting things behind the scenes, and we all fucking know it.
Nefarious shit.
We all know it, so it's not that big of a fucking reach to like jump at that. The problem is that when you use that as a center point, which we could all agree on, yeah, I bet Bill Gates was like hitting on his, like women working for him, or even worse, like with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, Melinda Gates was working for him when they got married or when they met. Like, she was working for fucking Microsoft. So he's already, like, by that nature of that relationship, has used his power in an organization, which I'm sure, like, she obviously must have found attractive. They got married, they had kids, yada, 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 so... women, also, you don't have to just fucking go after fucking rich men either if you want to be treated nicely. Like, you could, like, be like, oh, this guy doesn't have any money, he lives in a shithole, but he's going to treat me right. That's also an option, So, like, just throwing that out there. You don't also have to fall for men don't have to set the trap, but you could also not fall for it, okay? So let's just be real about that fucking shit, But, so what I'm trying to say is, like, it's not a reach, but what's the problem is then when you attach all these side narratives to that thing that we all probably can agree is going on, when that then comes out as, like, being factual, it then gets you a step closer to believing all the other crazy shit. So now you're like, well, QAnon was right about, Bill Gates fucking having this, very, unsavory if I can use like a great euphemism, because I'm sure it was a lot worse than unsavory, relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and then once that comes out as fact, you go, well, shit, they were right about that. What else are they right about? Even though it's not that big of a jump that they were right about that one thing. You know what I mean? It just gets the wheels turning.
That's why, exactly what you're saying, that's why they've gotten so many people to believe this other crazy tangential shit, is because they base them around things that are probably true, and then that to them proves everything else.
And further, just to like drive this in, what I'm really trying to say is then when one of those points, like, it's just like you just throwing darts out there. But when one of those sticks, it all of a sudden goes, well, maybe all these other, maybe the dartboard's bigger than what I thought. Yeah. Maybe even though the dartboard is only 12 inches across, there's all these ones that missed around, but maybe the dartboard's actually 12 feet across and all those other ones hit too. You know what I mean? Like,
you hit one double bullseye, but the rest are
flat,
ones.
The dartboard could be 12 feet across. Yeah, right. It just allows you to take a leap. But I'll tell you, man, I got another conspiracy theory on my mind. Or I guess what we were just talking about isn't a conspiracy theory so much as just like ideas of how our brains work and sociology. But Band-Aids, man. So as I talked about, I predicted myself cutting my finger by talking shit about people cutting their fingers and wanting to talk about it on NPR 2 weeks ago. Then last week, I updated news about cutting my finger. This week, I've went from gauze and I'm finally down to Band-Aids. But I've only had to use the big ones. And I've got like 3 boxes of Band-Aids. This is the scam about bandages. This is what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
They know you only need the big ones. And then they put all these fucking small ones in there that where the hell are you, if you have a cut
so you're getting the multi-pack.
That's so small that you need, I need to stop getting the multi-pack is what I'm trying to say here, really, is like, it is the biggest scam. So you get the multi-pack, and now I just have 4 boxes with Band-Aids I'll never use, and I have to keep going buying more and more and more. That's the scam, because, like, truly, 1 box of Band-Aids would last you, like 10 years.
If they didn't have all those little dot
really long
ones,
time.
yeah.
If they didn't have all the, like, half of them, so like, 50 Band-Aids, you're like, oh, awesome, there's 50 in there. That's going to last me a long time.
Dude.
But then you get a cut. 3 days later, you got to go buy a new box to get more big ones.
I swear cutlery sets are the same fucking way. Like, when I first moved in here, or moved in anywhere, you buy a box of cutlery, right? So you got your silverware, you got your forks, your spoons, and your butter knives. I swear, every time you get like 20 forks and spoons and you get like 2 butter knives that disappear immediately. And then you need to go buy another fucking cutlery set.
You know what's interesting about you saying that is my mind went so opposite, was like, yeah, you always end up with more knives. Like, you have a bunch of knives left over because everybody needs the forks and spoons, but you went completely opposite. I did not see that coming.
No, dude, that's the way it's gone for me every single time, is that I will buy silverware and I'll have, plenty of forks and spoons, but I will end up with 3 butter knives that end up lost within 6 months.
What are you doing with your knives?
I don't know, man.
Wait, hold on. That's not even... Wait. You just said within 6 months.
Yeah.
So... Are you... when I just said so like that, so my guitar started echoing. I hit the natural resonance of my guitar. So, yeah, I literally am making my guitar fucking ring right now. That's awesome. But anyway.
Nobody can hear that, but I'm happy for you.
How are you? It usually goes even amounts. So how are you using a knife without using a fork at the same time?
Well, I figure I probably am.
You're making a lot of sandwiches. You're making a lot of sandwiches.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah, probably. That's probably how it goes. But I don't know how they get lost, man.
Right? Well, I mean, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I don't know how I lose them. I didn't
ask
lose
about
them.
Getting lost.
Granted,
But it's got to be sandwiches. It's got to be sandwiches.
It's got to be sandwiches. Well,
We'll spread the mayo.
No,
right?
the
only time you use a knife without using a fork is if you're putting mayo on bread or butter on bread or something like that. That's the only time you use a knife without a fork.
Yeah, and I still have no explanation to how I lose said knives, but it happens, and it just is what it is.
You didn't say you lost them. You said that you don't get enough in the pack.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true also, but I do tend to lose them, and I don't know where they go. Maybe I get drunk enough where I just throw them in the trash after I spread enough mayonnaise with one of them. I don't know.
I think you should have just taken pride in me saying it was you treated me saying it was eating a lot of the sandwiches like I just honestly shat on your diet, even though you brought up TV dinner diet.
No.
As your health food fucking you took so much. You're like, sure, yeah, it's because I eat what the fuck is wrong with eating a lot of sandwiches?
No, man, I wasn't trying to come across with that tone. I was saying I just hadn't thought about that. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I just I'm trying to think of where these knives go.
You went, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe I do eat a lot of sandwiches.
Yeah, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Nothing. I'd pat you on the back. I'm all about sandwiches, especially this time of year. This is sandwich season right now. We are in full-blown sandwich fucking season.
Yeah. Oh, buddy.
What else you got to talk about now that we're done fighting about that, you fucking prick?
Oh, man. I've just been, I gotta say, I've been feeling like shit today, and there's a good reason for it. It may seem like not a good reason to a lot of people, but really, I've got to just accept my sensitivity is the word I was looking for to caffeine, because I just can't fucking do it anymore, man. I keep doing it to myself, and I just gotta fucking stop. I